Deep in the Arizona desert, the ghost town of Silver Creek is back in the headlines after an old gold mine is reopened, and something sinister awakens with it. Nightly apparitions, whispering winds, and underground shadows terrify the workers. As Mystery Incorporated arrives to investigate, they soon realize that not everything buried stays silent. But what exactly was unearthed? Gold, revenge, or something far more ancient? The blazing Arizona sun cast long, eerie shadows over the barren desert as the mystery machine rumbled down a dusty road. Up ahead, crumbling wooden facades and rusted signs signaled what remained of Silver Creek, a town abandoned decades ago after a mysterious collapse sealed its only mine. But now, against all warnings, Black Ridge Mining Company had reopened it. And with that, the silence had been broken. Fred kept his hands firm on the wheel, eyes narrowed at the ghost town. "This place gives me the creeps," he muttered. "Mining accidents, disappearing workers, something's not right." Beside him, Daphne was scrolling through recent news articles on her tablet. 6 men have gone missing in the past month. No signs of struggle, no bodies. Just, gone. She paused. And that was after someone reported hearing whispering coming from the tunnels. In the back seat, Velma tapped away on her laptop, eyes darting behind thick-rimmed glasses. The mine was originally shut down in 1922, following a string of bizarre incidents. Miners claimed the gold was cursed. One even said the tunnels moved on their own. There's no clear record of what really happened, just vague reports and a lot of missing people. She adjusted her glasses. There's definitely something going on here. Sitting in the rear, Shaggy and Scooby were less concerned with history and more with survival, and snacks. Like, tell me again why we're heading straight into a haunted mine instead of, say, a taco truck convention. Shaggy whined, clutching a bag of Scooby snacks. Scooby clutched his own bag tightly. Ranted mine bad. They pulled up beside a cluster of trailers that served as the mining camp. The few workers present looked tense, eyes darting toward the hills like they were being watched. One of them, a gaunt man with soot-streaked overalls, stepped forward. "You must be the investigators," he said. "Name's Tompkins. I'm the site manager, for now." Fred introduced the team and asked about the recent incidents. Tompkins nodded grimly. "It started with voices. Workers swore they heard whispering behind them, but no one was there. Then, tools went missing. Then the shadows came." He swallowed hard. Long, slithering shadows that moved where light should have stopped them. Velma perked up. "Have you documented any of these events?" "Footage, audio, even worker logs." Tompkins hesitated. "We tried installing cameras inside the tunnels. Most of them went dark. The few that worked caught shapes. Faint, flickering. We couldn't make them out." Fred turned to the group. "Let's split up. Velma, check the mine records. Daphne and I will investigate the entrance to the western shaft. Shaggy, Scooby, will guard the snacks." Shaggy interrupted. "From a safe distance." "No. You two are going to check the old mess hall near the edge of town. See if there's anything left behind from the original crew. Look for journals, logs, anything strange." Reluctantly, Shaggy and Scooby trudged toward the decaying building. Inside, dust blanketed every surface, and sunlight pierced through broken boards, illuminating motes in the air. They rummaged through cabinets and found a box of old photographs and letters. Scooby sniffed at an envelope and let out a whimper. "Raggy. Look." Shaggy squinted at the faded photograph. It showed a group of miners standing outside the entrance, dated July 10, 1922. But in the background, half shrouded by rock, was a figure cloaked in black, with no discernible face. "Like, that's gotta be a prank, right?" Back at the western shaft, Daphne found a series of strange markings near the sealed tunnel. "These aren't natural," she said, snapping photos. Looks like symbols. Maybe warnings. Fred examined them, running a hand over the deep scratches in the rock. Velma should see this. Meanwhile, Velma had uncovered something chilling, the town's final newspaper edition, dated the day before the mine shut down. The headline read, "Mine swallows another, sheriff missing after night patrol." But it was the handwritten note in the margin that made her blood run cold, "Don't follow the whispers. She waits." As night fell, the team regrouped at the camp. A sharp wind picked up, and the desert grew unnaturally cold. "We need to go into the mine," Fred declared. "There's more to this than sabotage. Something's trying to scare people away. We need to know why." "Nope. We're good out here," Shaggy protested, hugging Scooby like a life raft. Suddenly, the radio in the trailer crackled to life with static. Then, a voice, barely audible, raspy and disjointed, "Leave the gold to me." Everyone froze. Velma grabbed her gear. That wasn't a recorded message. And from the hills above the mine, something watched, its eyes glowing faintly in the dark. The sun had barely risen when Daphne called the team together, her voice tinged with urgency. "Look what I found inside that old photo," she said, holding up a folded piece of brittle paper. "It's a partial map of the mine tunnels, and this note." She unfolded it carefully, revealing jagged handwriting smeared with dried blood. "She lives below. She never left." Fred frowned, studying the map's labyrinth of twisting shafts and unexplored caverns. "If this is accurate, there's a whole section of the mine no one's been in for nearly a century." Velma leaned closer, her brow furrowed. "That could explain the strange noises and shadows. Whatever she is, she might be hiding down there." Shaggy and Scooby, standing just outside the trailer, exchanged nervous glances. "Like, do we really want to go underground again?" Shaggy muttered, scratching his head. Scooby whimpered but nodded reluctantly. The thrill of the mystery was always tempered by their fear, especially in places where light dared not linger. Fred gathered everyone. "We're going in. But we need to be prepared. Velma, get your gear. Daphne, bring your flashlight. Shaggy, Scooby, stay close." The others nodded, a mix of excitement and dread hanging thick in the cool morning air. Inside the mine entrance, the temperature dropped sharply. The stale air smelled of dust and forgotten memories. Their footsteps echoed off stone walls, each step revealing more shadows dancing in the flickering flashlight beams. Fred led the way, carefully scanning the tunnels. "Stay alert. Watch for anything unusual." Velma stopped suddenly, kneeling beside the floor. "Look at this," she whispered, pointing at a series of strange symbols etched into the rock. They matched the markings Daphne had photographed the night before, but here, they were fresher, carved deep and raw, as if made recently. Daphne ran her fingers over the marks. "It's almost like a warning." Fred frowned. "Warning or threat, either way, it means someone doesn't want us here." Suddenly, a faint sound echoed through the tunnel, a soft, mournful whisper, barely audible. Scooby froze, ears twitching. "Roo?" he asked nervously. The whisper grew louder, forming broken words. "Leave, now," Shaggy gulped. "Like, this is officially the creepiest mine I've ever been in." Scooby whimpered and clutched Shaggy's arm. But they pressed onward, drawn by the need to uncover the truth. They reached a collapsed section of the tunnel where the air felt heavier, charged with an unseen presence. Fred shone his light into the rubble and spotted a small, rusty metal box wedged between rocks. Carefully, Velma pried it open to reveal brittle papers and a leather-bound journal. Velma's eyes widened as she read aloud, July 1922. The last entry. The journal belonged to Mary Blackwood, a miner's daughter who disappeared the same year the mine closed. Her words spoke of strange occurrences, voices calling her name, shadows moving beneath the earth, and a secret she vowed to protect. Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath them. A distant rumble grew into a violent shake. The tunnel's collapsing. Fred shouted. Everyone, back. They sprinted through the dark passage as debris rained down. Just as they cleared the unstable area, a shadow flickered at the tunnel's mouth, tall, cloaked, faceless. Scooby barked, and Shaggy stumbled, nearly dropping his flashlight. Outside, panting and shaken, the group gathered. What was that thing? Daphne asked, voice trembling. Velma clutched the journal. It's connected to the mine's past, and whoever, or whatever, haunts these tunnels is still here. Fred nodded grimly. We're dealing with something far beyond simple sabotage. The wind howled, carrying whispers that seemed to follow them as they retreated to the camp. That night, as the team pored over the journal by firelight, Scooby shivered beside Shaggy. Raggy, do you think Mary Blackwood's spirit is really trapped here? Scooby's eyes darted nervously toward the dark horizon. Before anyone could answer, a soft tapping echoed from outside the tent. The flame flickered violently, and a chilling voice whispered, "The gold belongs to her. Leave before it's too late." The chill of the desert night pressed in as the team sat around the flickering campfire, the old leather-bound journal resting heavily on Velma's lap. The name Elizabeth Blackwood echoed in their minds, a mysterious connection weaving through the decades. Who was she? Daphne asked, brushing a strand of hair from her face. And why is she never mentioned in the town's history? Velma adjusted her glasses, eyes sharp with determination. Mary's journal hints at a family secret. Elizabeth might have been her sister, or someone even closer. But there's a gap in the records from the 1920s. It's almost like the town erased her. Fred frowned. That's exactly what we need to figure out. If Elizabeth is tied to the mine's curse, maybe uncovering her story will shed light on the hauntings. Outside, Shaggy and Scooby quietly munched on leftover snacks, glancing nervously toward the dark hills that loomed like silent watchers. Like, why do ghosts have to be so spooky? Shaggy whispered. Scooby whimpered, "Rua," but kept his ears perked. The next morning, the team split up to dig deeper. Velma and Daphne headed to the dusty town library, a crumbling building with faded letters spelling Silver Creek Historical Society, while Fred checked in with the miners still lingering near the camp. Inside the library, the air smelled of old paper and forgotten secrets. Rows of yellowed newspapers and fragile ledgers lined the shelves. Daphne pulled a thick volume off a shelf, dust clouding the air. Look at this, there's a whole section missing. Velma flipped through the brittle pages, finding gaps and scribbled out names. Elizabeth Blackwood was a miner's daughter who vanished without a trace, but no official record exists. She tapped a brittle photo of the Blackwood family, only Mary's name was legible. Suddenly, a sharp noise echoed in the quiet, like something falling. They turned to see a heavy book had toppled from the shelf, revealing a hidden compartment behind the bookshelf. Inside was an old, leather-bound diary, this one belonging to Elizabeth herself. Velma's hands trembled as she opened it. The diary revealed a darker truth. Elizabeth had discovered something terrible deep within the mine, something worth killing for. Her last entries spoke of secret passages, hidden gold, and a warning to stay away. One chilling passage read, "The shadows are alive. They guard what we cannot take. I fear they have claimed me." Meanwhile, Fred approached Tompkins, who nervously glanced over his shoulder. "There's talk among the workers," Tompkins confided. "Old-timers whisper about a woman in black, who curses anyone trying to steal from the mine. They say she was betrayed by her own family." Fred's eyes narrowed. "We need to find out what happened. Can you take us to the oldest parts of the mine?" Back at the camp, Shaggy and Scooby were tasked with mapping the perimeter but found themselves drawn toward the edge of town where a crumbled chapel stood. Inside, they discovered strange symbols matching those in the mine, carved into the altar. As they examined the carvings, shadows lengthened unnaturally, and whispers filled the air, chilling their bones. Scooby growled lowly. "Raggy, time to go." Before they could escape, a flicker of movement caught Shaggy's eye. A shadowy figure darting just beyond the broken stained glass. Heart pounding, they fled back to camp, breathless and shaken. That evening, the group reconvened, sharing their findings. Velma's revelation about Elizabeth's diary sent a ripple of unease through them. Elizabeth was trying to protect something, Velma said. Something valuable enough to curse the mine for generations. Fred's jaw tightened. And whoever this woman in black is, she's real, and dangerous. Suddenly, the camp's radio crackled again, this time with a distorted voice chanting, "The gold is mine. Leave the past buried." The fire flickered violently as cold winds swept through the camp. Daphne shivered. "We're running out of time." The stale air inside the mine grew heavier as Fred, Velma, Daphne, Shaggy, and Scooby stared at the ominous wooden door sealed tight against the rocky tunnel wall. Fresh claw marks scarred its surface, raw and jagged, a silent warning from something unseen. "This is it," Fred said, voice low but steady. "The barrier between us and the truth." Velma pulled out her flashlight and examined the door carefully. "The wood looks ancient, but the claw marks. Those are fresh, like something very recent tried to get out, or wanted to keep us out." Daphne's eyes flickered nervously. "What if there's something dangerous behind this door? Something alive?" Scooby whimpered, pressing close to Shaggy, who swallowed hard but nodded. "Like, we can't turn back now. We're way too deep in this mystery." Scooby's ears twitched anxiously as the shadows seemed to shift, as if the darkness itself were watching them. Fred reached for his crowbar and gave a firm knock. A hollow sound echoed inside, as if the door led to a cavernous chamber. Suddenly, a faint, cold whisper floated through the tunnel, barely audible but chilling to the bone. "You shouldn't have come." Velma exchanged a worried glance with Fred. "Whatever's inside, it's aware of us." With a grunt, Fred wedged the crowbar between the door and the frame, levering it open inch by inch. The wood groaned, and dust poured out like a shroud. As the door creaked wider, a rush of cold air spilled forth, carrying the scent of damp earth and decay. Inside, their flashlights pierced a cavernous space carved deep beneath the mine. Old mining tools lay scattered, rusted and broken, alongside faded portraits of the Blackwood family. But what caught their attention was a narrow stairway spiraling down into deeper darkness, leading further underground where no light reached. Daphne stepped forward, brushing dust off a cracked photograph pinned to the wall. It showed Elizabeth Blackwood, eyes fierce and determined, holding a small, ornately carved box. This must be what she was protecting. Velma studied the walls, where faint symbols glowed faintly under their flashlights. These markings matched the ones from the chapel and the tunnels. They're part of a protective spell, maybe meant to trap whatever haunts this place. Suddenly, the ground trembled again. The mine seemed to breathe, alive with hidden energy. Scooby barked, ears flattening. "Roo! Rag! Run!" A shadow flitted past the entrance, too fast to see clearly but undeniably present. The team froze, then moved quickly down the spiral stairs, each step echoing louder in the suffocating silence. At the bottom, they found a small chamber lined with ancient gold or veins, sparkling faintly in the beam of their flashlights. In the center, a stone pedestal held a heavy iron chest, locked tight but pulsing with an eerie energy. Velma carefully traced the carvings on the chest's surface. This must be the source of the curse, the treasure Elizabeth tried to hide. She glanced up, voice trembling slightly. "If this gold is cursed, it explains the hauntings. Someone, something, is guarding it fiercely." Fred nodded. "We have to open it. But carefully. One wrong move, and who knows what could happen." As they debated how to unlock the chest, a low growl echoed from the shadows. the temperature plummeted further, and a pale figure materialized, a woman draped in tattered black, eyes glowing with a haunting light. "You should leave," she whispered, voice like the rustle of dry leaves. "This place is not for the living." Daphne stepped forward, defiance in her eyes. "Who are you? Why haunt this mine?" The ghostly woman's gaze softened for a moment. "I am Elizabeth Blackwood. Betrayed and trapped by greed, I guard the secret that must never be taken." Scooby whimpered but stood his ground, his instincts telling him the spirit was more than just a ghost, they were a guardian bound by pain and sorrow. Suddenly, the chest emitted a low hum, reacting to the presence of the ghost. The lock clicked, creaking open on its own. Inside lay an intricately carved locket, glowing faintly with an otherworldly light. Velma picked it up carefully. This must be the key to lift the curse, or unleash it. The radiant glow from the locket bathed the chamber in a warm, golden light that seemed to push back the cold shadows clawing at the edges of the cavern. Velma held the delicate artifact carefully, its intricate carvings shimmering under her flashlight's beam. "This locket, it's more than just a piece of jewelry. It's a seal, a symbol of Elizabeth's hope to protect her family, and this mine, from destruction." Fred leaned closer, eyes sharp and scanning the glowing inscriptions around them. "So, the curse, it's tied to this locket? That means if we can figure out how to use it, we might be able to stop the hauntings and the sabotage once and for all." Daphne's voice trembled with a mix of fear and determination. "But if this locket is so powerful, why would Elizabeth hide it here? And why was she betrayed?" Before Velma could answer, a sudden rumble shook the cavern floor. Dust fell from the ceiling as a deep, echoing growl reverberated through the mine's tunnels. Scooby and Shaggy exchanged nervous glances, while Fred instinctively moved to shield the group. "Sounds like we've got company." From the darkness emerged a hulking figure, half shadow, half solid, with glowing eyes burning with rage. The woman in black spirit had taken a terrifying new form, her wails mixing with the growls of something far more primal lurking just beyond. The team scrambled back, hearts pounding. "Velma, what do we do?" Daphne shouted. Velma's mind raced. The locket's glow pulsed in her hands as she noticed an inscription on its back, a riddle etched in faded letters: "Bound by blood, freed by truth, unlock the past, and face the proof." "Fred, we need to uncover the truth about Elizabeth's betrayal, her story is the key," Velma exclaimed. "The spirit's anger comes from being forgotten, from the injustice done to her." Fred nodded. "Daphne, help me find that journal again. Shaggy, Scooby, stay close." The team regrouped quickly and retraced their steps to the hidden chamber where Elizabeth's diary lay. Velma flipped through the fragile pages, revealing the heart of a tragic tale. Elizabeth had discovered that her own brother, a greedy man blinded by ambition, had poisoned the mine's water supply to scare workers away and claim the gold for himself. She tried to stop him, but he silenced her by hiding her away in the very tunnels they now explored. Suddenly, a faint sob echoed through the chamber, a sound of sorrow and regret. The ghostly figure appeared again, this time more sorrowful than menacing. "My brother's greed condemned us all," she whispered, "but the locket holds the truth. Only when it is seen will peace come." Velma stepped forward, holding the locket aloft as beams of light reflected off the walls. "We'll show the town. We'll reveal what happened." The ghost's form began to shimmer, the dark rage fading into a gentle glow. "Thank you," she murmured, "but beware, the truth is only the beginning. There are those who will fight to keep it buried." Outside the mine, Fred, Velma, and the gang prepared to confront the mining company's executives with their findings. The shadows that had haunted them all seemed to recede, but the feeling of unseen eyes watching lingered. As dawn broke over the desert, Scooby sniffed the fresh air, and Shaggy let out a relieved laugh. Maybe this ghost story's finally over. But as the sun climbed higher, a shadow moved stealthily near the entrance, someone determined that the past would stay hidden, no matter the cost. The sun was setting over the dusty ghost town, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple as the gang prepared for their final showdown. Fred gathered the team around the old mine entrance, the locket safely tucked away in Velma's backpack. This is it. We confront the mining company, and reveal everything. Velma nodded, adjusting her glasses. The truth about the Blackwood betrayal, the curse, and the sabotage, it's all going public. No more secrets. Daphne scanned the horizon nervously. But what if they don't want the truth out? What if this puts us all in danger? Scooby growled softly, sensing the tension, while Shaggy clutched his sandwich like a lifeline. Like, danger's kinda our thing, right? As they approached the mining company's makeshift headquarters, a cluster of trailers and heavy machinery, an imposing figure blocked their path, a sharply dressed man with cold eyes, Mr. Harrington, the company's CEO. His smile was tight, unwelcoming. I hear you've been digging where you shouldn't. Fred stepped forward, voice firm. We have evidence of sabotage, and of a historic crime that you've tried to bury. The town deserves to know the truth. Mr. Harrington's gaze hardened. You're meddling with forces you don't understand. That mine is ours by law, and whatever ghosts haunt it are nothing but superstition. Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath their feet. From the mine entrance, a spectral figure appeared. Elizabeth Blackwood, glowing with an ethereal light that silenced the crowd. Her voice echoed, clear and resolute. The greed that destroyed my family will not destroy this town. The gathered workers and townsfolk gasped, many stepping back in fear, others with tears in their eyes. Elizabeth's ghost lifted the locket high, and the golden light spread, illuminating hidden signs of sabotage on the mining equipment, cut cables, loosened supports, evidence that could no longer be denied. Velma spoke calmly, the sabotage was meant to drive people away and cover illegal mining activities. We have the proof. Mr. Harrington's face twisted with anger, but the truth was out. The townsfolk rallied behind the gang, determined to protect their heritage and stop the company's reckless greed. As the night deepened, the mine's shadows receded, replaced by a calm that hadn't been felt for generations. Elizabeth's spirit smiled softly. Thank you, friends. The curse is lifted. Remember the past, but do not fear it. Scooby barked happily, while Shaggy cracked a grin. Like, mystery solved and no ghost got us. I'm calling dibs on a victory sandwich. Fred chuckled, placing an arm around Velma. We did it together. And now, this town has a chance to heal. Daphne looked out over the horizon, the first stars shining bright. Sometimes, the darkest secrets lead to the brightest futures. As they walked away from the mine, the wind whispered through the desert. Quiet now, but full of promise.